What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 25 of my Total War Warhammer 3 Skulltaker Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, we had the debut battle of the Frenzied Forsaken army, the Forsaken and the Chaos Spawn, as opposed to the Frenzied Infantry army that are similar but different, the Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers. Anyway, the Forsaken did fairly well against the Shades, actually surprisingly well against the Shades, because the Shades are something of a counter to them, or at the very least are fairly effective, or should be fairly effective against them, but apparently not when led by Lokir of Felhart, though I do love him. Anyway, we ended the episode off with Arbal the Undefeated, who is, well, maybe not getting a debut as he has fought a couple of times, but, well, it's been a while he's been traveling, and his bloodletting has dropped, so we need to get him back up and running. His army is also not yet complete, but we do have more chosen various kinds in here, and we're being attacked by Nurgle. So we got Chosen of Nurgle versus Chosen of Khorne. We've got Rot Knights versus Skull Crushers. Should be pretty interesting if nothing else. Though of course the Rot Knights are anti-large and the Skull Crushers are anti-infantry, but these are the Knights of the Brazen Throne. So, should be a pretty great fight. And of course they have twice the units we do. But it's Arbal, and well, I hear he doesn't get defeated a lot. So let's see if that holds true. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Khorne versus Nurgle. The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. We're very much offense-minded, and they're very much defense-minded with their units, and I'm very excited to see who will win the day. We're going to start the battle off by moving forward with our line of Chosen, as well as our Soul Grinders, at the very least while they remain in this army, as I do intend to swap them out for more Skull Crushers and Knights when we can actually get them in this army, because they're kind of Arbal's thing, or, well, the mortal units are. We're gonna also do our best to knock out as many of these units of plague drones and whatnot from the air, but that'll take a little bit. Now, it does look like the enemy is sending a fair few units to actually flank us. Usually this is what we'd be doing, but there's a fairly nice sort of choke point in the center of the map that we're going to employ and sort of block off the entire choke point with our shielded units of Chosen, while our dual weapons fight off the flankers with a little bit of help from the Chaos Warriors of Khorne with halberds for that extra anti-large. Anyway, the Soul Grinders will rush ahead of the Chosen and get stuck in against the faster moving elements of the enemy army, being the Marauders, Nurglings, Plague Toads, and all that stuff, while the enemy's own Chosen and such move on in. Arbal has of course moved on towards the enemy Lord, and our Cultist is fighting the enemy Cultist. Cultist on Cultist, Chaos Lord versus Chaos Lord, Chaos Warrior versus Chaos Warrior, etc. rather. Should be pretty fun. Anyway, I imagine our Cultist should be able to carry the day here, and the enemy Cultist is down to about half HP, and the enemy Lord has absolutely no chance against hard-hitting Arbal. We have also sighted the enemy Rot Knights, and are going to be moving the Knights of the Brazen Throne towards them for a lovely little one-on-one. Who's the sort of superior knight? Alright, we got the charge though by the looks of it, and downhill at that, which is bad news for those Rot Knights. They may have anti-large, but their numbers are dropping. They do no damage to us, and our charge takes about half their number and half their HP out. Ouch! That was unfortunate. The Rot Knights fail, and we will chase them down. A little bit of help from those Fleshhounds. Our warriors are still holding. Oh, they got some Pestigores as well. But we don't have any Khorne Gores in this army, but, you know, once again, a lot of nice sort of semi-Lycon-like. There we go. I'm loving the anchoring points of all of those soul grinders and the fact that they can absorb a lot of hits from the enemy. It looks like the enemy has got a bunch of pox riders who have charged in on our flank now and are actually doing decently well, as we can see, knocking down and out at least a few of those Chaos Warriors of Khorne with halberds. One of the units are dropping by about 30% of its HP. Over on the left flank, our units of dual weapon chosen are facing off against a bunch of marauders and great weapon chosen, although by the looks of it, due to the buffs that Arbol gives them, they are carrying the day despite being 2-on-1, though they are of course taking damage. 168 armor on these chosen, 71 melee attack as well. And they are ripping through the enemy despite the, I want to say, relative lack of armor piercing? Yeah, their armor piercing's at only 23. Like Depth Guard, the dual weapons are going to have a little bit of a tough time against them. Actually, I'm curious. The regular Chosen of Khorne have 18 armor piercing as well, so yeah. I actually find it a little bit strange that Khorne gets halberd Chaos Warriors and doesn't have access to great weapon Chaos Warriors. Because, you know, Bloodletters are all great weapons, and yes, you can use Exalted Bloodletters for that purpose, but you gotta know that a bunch of Khornate units will use great weapons. And just from a loreful perspective, I mean. I understand that they're not maybe super necessary in the roster, or at the very least, if Great Weapon Chosen were available, people might choose, them over the Exalted Bloodletters, which maybe is why they kept them out. I don't know. It just feels like Khorne should have big old weapons. All right, here come the Blood Reapers to help out a little bit, or the Skull Cannons, Skullduggery, and Husk Chuckers to run down those Exalted Plague Bearers. Though it looks like they won't need much help or any more, as the enemy has begun to melt away. A very nice fight, and we haven't even found Tamarkan yet, so I'm sure that he'll give us a nice fight later on once Arbol manages to hunt him down, and hopefully will actually present a proper fight for Arbol, unlike that lord that we fought here. Alright, down they go, and with that, the battle is ours. The last of our foes melt away, and we'll do our best to chase them down, charge them down, whatever, so that we can hopefully take the plains of Zhenbai for ourselves. Alrighty, there we go, a fairly nice fight, and we were able to annihilate the enemy pretty much entirely without taking too much in the way of losses. The Chaos Warriors of Khorne, the regular Chaos Warriors, got a lot more hurt than the Chosen did, but that's hardly surprising, and certainly what we expected. They were fighting the Plague Toads and the Pox Riders, which actually did better than I was expecting. Did anybody remember, did the Plague Toads and Pox Riders get buffs? Because I remember they were just terrible playing vanilla last time I used them, but we're reasonably okay in SFO, and I found them fairly useful in combining them with the Skaven in SFO. But anyway, that's not vanilla, and this is, and I'm just surprised that they were able to do decently against the anti-large Chaos Warriors. Anyway, looks like damage-wise, well, once again, it'll be one of the Chosen of Khorne, and Arbol did pretty well as well, did kill off the enemy lord, the enemy cultist, and probably a bunch of other stuff. Lovely. And we are going to occupy the place, because why not? It's the plains of Zhenbai after all. Kairos Fate Weaver's still here. I was going to say still alive, not so much. And we should be able to get him within the next couple of turns, which would be nice. Deathmaster Snitch, you want a non-aggression pact. Oh, that's interesting. He likes us attacking the Blessed Dread? I wasn't expecting that. Well, he doesn't want to be our vassal. I really wasn't expecting that. Discover the Skullhounds. We are attacking the Drowned. I mean, that's a lot of range units against a... Honestly, it's probably not worth fighting. Like, it's fine, but we know what'll happen. The Fleshhounds will tie up the enemy army and destroy them. It's not enough of a problem for us to bother with at this point in the game, so just let them go. we've seen the Blood Hosts face, let's say, much greater odds than that, and do quite well. World Roots Interception by the Gorehounds. Huh. This might be a little bit more interesting. They've got Wild Riders, Sisters of the Thorn, Zoats, lots of Wildwood Rangers, Deepwood Scouts, and Way Watchers, and plenty of them. In fact, their army is, in terms of cost, vastly superior to ours. They've got a lot of expensive stuff in here, and it's very nicely balanced. And while I was planning to avoid fighting too much with the Blood Hosts, I think this is too fun of a fight to let go, so we're not gonna let it go. We're gonna go. Alrighty, here we go. I'm excited to see whether we can pull this off. I do imagine it'll be a very, very tough battle, and the enemy outnumbers us and out-troop qualities us as well. And of course, we have no buffs, no red line buffs, and even no technological buffs, as we have not been using or upgrading our Blood Hosts via technologies in terms of their stats. So, remains to be seen. Honestly, if the roles were reversed and we had the type of units that the enemy has, with all those Way Watchers, Sisters, Wild Riders, etc., 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 Zoats as well, I would say that the Coordinate Force has no chance, but obviously this is the AI we're talking about. I am interested to see how much of a detriment the fact that this is a World Roots Interception will be, however, because this means that we won't be able to essentially flank the enemy with our Flesh Hounds, which we would generally be pretty reliant on with big blobs of enemy range units, and very much threatening range units here. And I'm going to speed this up while we hopefully annoy the enemy sufficiently to move towards us. A couple nice shots from that skull cannon. A couple did miss, but enough by the looks of it to annoy the enemy into moving towards us at last. Gonna have to keep dodging those shots as we, well, get a few shots in of our own. Once again, the skull cannons have been absolute stars throughout this campaign. Anyway, time, I think, to go. The Flesh Hounds so I'm gonna run out as the vanguard of our force, and honestly, from a cinematic perspective, it does make sense to send the Flesh Hounds out ahead. And there we go. They are very fragile, though, so we won't be able to keep them engaged very long, especially against Dryads, Wildwood Rangers, and ooh, very nice, is that? Yeah, Shield of Thorns. I thought it was just Flesh to Stone, but with, Shield of Thorns there, those Flesh Hounds are going to be in trouble. That said, it does allow the rest of our units to close our Bloodletters, move on in, though it does look like the Wild Riders will charge in from the flanks, and we're going to do our best to surround them. In fact, with a couple of the Flesh Hounds already suffering massive amounts of damage, we're going to send them away to surround and destroy the enemy Wild Riders, and hopefully thus allow our Flesh Hounds to get around the enemy's flanks. Our units of Furies have dropped into the center of the enemy range formation. Though we do have to be careful here, as our Furies are going to be very fragile, and, well, I'm sure some of them will take a fair bit of damage. And this one's down to about half HP, but it does look like they are able to attack well enough to obliterate the enemy units of Way Watchers, which would otherwise be a pretty big threat. Not so sure about the Sisters of the Thorn, however. The Sisters of the Thorn may not have that toxic venom that they do have in SFO, which makes them insanely strong units by virtue of the damage over time that it allows them to constantly apply, but they are still fairly decent melee fighters. Our Bloodthirster is working on the enemy Lord, who's down to about half her HP. Our Furies here are trying to fight some Deepwood Scouts and Sisters of the Thorn, though I fear that this unit will have to be sacrificed. Though on the bright side, that means no javelins and no arrows from those two units. Bloodletter is still holding the enemy tied back over on the right flank and doing fairly well against the enemy Wildwood Rangers, considering we have no sort of red line buffs and the enemy does. But I guess with all of our flaming attacks, we're finally getting some advantage out of them, as obviously the Wood Elves don't particularly like fighting units with a lot of fire damage. And on top of that, the fire damage is I don't remember, is it Durthu? If you defeat Durthu, you get the fire damage when fighting Wood Elves for the army, don't you? Unless I'm mistaken, or is it Orion? I think it's Durthu. I guess it doesn't really matter, because the battle is ours. I do believe one of our units of Furies melted away, and another one came very, very close, but they had to be sacrificed to keep the enemy from working, and yeah, very nice fight. Alrighty, there we go. The one unit we did end up sacrificing, a unit of Chaos Furies, to tie up those darn hard-hitting range units. It was not reforged, but, well done to them nonetheless. I gotta reiterate that I really enjoy the Bloodhost fights for the reason that, let's face it, let's say majority of the enemy armies don't really stand a chance against Skulltaker's army, or really any faction leader's army, which is why it's always nice to give other forces a chance to fight factions before they're fully defeated, and, well, actually have to work for their victory, as these guys did. Well done to the Gorehounds. Heal, I guess? Doesn't really matter. What is this? Alicia, you're still alive, I see. Okay. What, are you gonna raise it? No, you're going to sail away. Huh, I wonder if we'll be able to reach him. Ooh, Orion's close. We also got some free stuff out of the Mightiest Fortress. Ooh, tier 5 upgrade completed. That's what I like to hear. And it looks like Chant is evolving. I don't remember why I built Chant anymore. Go for it. Why not? While you're here, what do you got? You got Burning Body. Ah, really, game? That's the second one we got with that. Oh, we're getting screwed on the traits. I kind of never really liked the random trait system for Demon Princes and for these evolved units, because you, especially if you don't have the broken sort of Skulltaker experience transfer stuff, everybody else gets screwed even harder with this, because you get a unit up to level 30 or level 18 or whatever the heck it is to upgrade these guys, and then bam, you get a completely garbage trait. Like, Burning Body is atrociously bad. It's basically nothing. Well, it actually enables flaming attacks is nothing, because these guys should have fire attacks automatically, I believe. I'm not 100% sure about Demon Princes, actually, but, well, it would be completely useless on an Exalted Bloodthirster, and ooh, fire resistance. I mean, if we're fighting dwarfs, the Chaos Dwarfs, sure, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, not a good trait, but, not a big deal. Sometimes the roll of the dice is against you. More often than not, actually. But anyway, Kuharr, you are a new province because we got the Plains of Zhenbaijin, so let's get the, I guess, Monuments of Rage up and running. Oh, hello. Hello, I didn't realize, well, it's not tier 5, but we could get Skull Crushers here in a few turns. Oh, I like that. I like that very much. Now, how many can you recruit in one sin? Huh? Wait, what? Someone receives Plague, Fencer's Blades, Global, Ambush Foiled, sure. Someone sacked, yeah, sure. Someone receives Plague, Rock of Inevitability, sure. Experience has been transferred. Why can we only recruit Chaos Warriors of Khorne and Kuharr? Oh, I was looking at something else. Ah, damn, I got excited. I mean, I was looking at the... Where was I looking? I guess I was looking down here, wasn't I? I got so excited for a second. I know, I'm so disappointed. I crushed my own hopes. I raised my own hopes and crushed them quite expertly. Well, it's okay. We can erase temporarily at least some Chaos Knights of Khorne. At least until we have access to Skull Crushers, which is just taking obnoxious amounts of time. What can you do? Also, you go this way, because I'd like to see whether Tamarkan is moving up this way, because I don't want to lose these territories. Actually, we don't really care about these territories, to be fair, but nonetheless. Delete both of these, get the trophy racks up and running, and then start moving this way. You can't use global recruitment right now, unfortunately, because... Oh! Well, if it isn't a Tamarkan. We're looking for you. I should have gotten into ambush, and now I wonder whether he'll be too scared to attack us. Actually, he's got a pretty solid force. He shouldn't be too scared, because that's a damn good force. You were supposed to join this army, and actually, do we have another one on the way? Was that you? Are you for this? Yes. Barbaros Zorateller. Go tell some Zori over there. And let's see. Archie. You're kind of hanging around. We might want to sort of just declare war on the Legion of Chaos just so Archie has something to do. I don't want to declare war on these guys right now, essentially, because Astrogoth will lose a bunch of territory because it's poorly defended. And this might be a thing. They don't want to become our vassal by the looks of it. Actually, Confederation. Well, minus 17. Getting there. They kind of bypassed each other, didn't they? Well, Scarby will probably lose a couple of armies to Warzag in the next few turns, so maybe we will be able to take advantage of that. Anyway, ally missions. Let's take a look at what we have here. Tom Coates will definitely die, so we'll do that. Frankly, the stuff from these guys doesn't really matter, but whatever. Disciples of Kashut Dulcith. I don't know where Dulcith is. Tamarkhan. 13, though. And we need more of this stuff. Billy Mansvelt. Ooh, that's an easy one. Let's take Billy Mansvelt. Why don't we? Alright, let's take a look at what we have here. Skulltaker. I mostly put you here to kill off Festi. Just because we can. We should be able to draw him out into a very nice field battle. Oh, look at all those Chosen and Chaos Knights and stuff. We'll save this for the next episode because I don't want to waste it. It's too good to waste. And we'll get his defeat trait, I guess. Oh, he's also got the Rotting Riders in there. We'll see how they face off against the Heralds of Khorne's Fury in the same way that we saw the Rot Knights versus the Knights of the Brazen Throne a few moments ago. Akanet has a full stack at Fuchao now. I wonder if you'd be willing to attack Gerald Black Raider in a field battle, because the auto-resolve should consider the Forsaken a very weak army, even if it isn't. So they might be very much willing to do it. So let's give them a shot. You can sit out here, and just allow them to sally out, I guess. Actually, I wonder, if we put you here, even with the relatively weak forces that you add, will they still... Yeah, it still says Valiant Defeat. Huh, we're actually now weaker. Didn't it... Huh? Didn't it go close to defeat? Am I crazy, or did it say close to defeat and then we moved a force to get 8 extra units plus a lord, and it changed to Valiant Defeat? Huh. Wait, is Valiant better than close? I guess it doesn't really matter. What does matter is, or I hope matters, is that these guys sally out. Anyway, I'm getting confused a lot today. It's late, damn it. At least when I'm recording this. We'll leave these guys for the next turn. We're kind of just screwing around on Catha. It's not really anything we actually have to do. You Scarlet Feasters are definitely suffering attrition now. Get as close to the Serpent Coast as you can. See if Kairos has a full stack up and running there. Let's see what we're looking at. Well, it's not a full stack yet. He's getting all his Regiments of Renown, which the AI does like to do. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think the AI doesn't have a cooldown on Regiments of Renown, so it can basically build them as much as it wants forever, which is kind of irritating, but, well. I suppose it does serve the purpose of making battles harder, which is actually a good thing, so there is that. Even if it is a very blatant, sort of cheaty type deal. It's more that it's visibly cheating that makes it irritating than the fact that it has any real effect on things. Anyway, auto-resolve, and we are good. We'll occupy this place like so. Alright, and Armor Fortune, and let's keep moving. I guess you guys can all move in March stance and just hope that the big old lizard doesn't come a-calling while you're all separated from each other. And what do we have here? Nah. Nothing too crazy. Let's move you all over there. Alright, Skulltaker, we're obviously saving your battle for the next episode since we don't have time for it. You two sit where you are. Doom Reavers. Keep forgetting who you are. Oh, right, you're these guys. Let's have you attack the Shrine of Loek and occupy it. I guess it doesn't really matter. Ooh, hello. Wait. Azerit, once again, really nice, balanced, big armies belonging to the Wood Elves here. Kuharr. You're missing one unit. What unit are you missing? Oh, you're missing one Blood Reaper, or possibly... Did I not send you a Blood Reaper? Am I crazy, or did I send you a Blood Reaper? I thought I did. Oh, there you are. Huntsmaster Khorne, that's the name. Yeah, these guys have really nice armies. We save this one for the next battle, too. Yeah. Damn it. I mean, we're late enough into the campaign that I shouldn't be doing this and should save the edit time, but I just can't say no to a good fight. So, and plus it's Kuharr. He deserves the action. So I should giggle. Anyway, let us see. Usually I go for Locus of Wrath for the 40 melee attack for 25 seconds. Locus of Fury does give us the charge bonus, which does feel decent for this army. I guess the only issue is that we already have fairly big charge bonus, at least on the Gore Beast chariots. And the doggos, and I'm still inclined to say the Locus of Wrath is just playing better. Because we can keep pumping it up with Icon of Slaughter together and stuff, so that's what we're gonna do. Anyway, Brass Color, let's get you... You're on the Blood Throne, right? Yes. Let's get you Murder, let's get you Cleave, let's get you Deadly Onslaught, we'll get you Maim. I'm going to say... Well, I don't know why I'm bothering to actually choose these, because we get everything. There you go. Alright, who's next? Wait, did I miss a point? I did miss a point. Oh, I didn't do Slaughter. That was the most important one. Okay, well, the second most important one after... Well, third most important one after Kill and Murder, but anyway... That's what I get. Icon of Slaughter, Locus of Wrath, Kill, Thickskin, Brass Collar, Slaughter maxed out this time first, Murder, into Cleave, into Deadly Onslaught, and then Maim because of the melee attack, and I'm gonna say Hunt for the speed, into Crush, and... there was an extra point to increase mobility that I missed, and well darn. Alright, I'll try to do this quick. The less I talk about it, the faster I can do it, because I don't have to think. Like that. Alright, next up. Oh, wow, you only have 13 points, so you wouldn't be able to get most of the stuff anyway, but I guess then that means it won't take super long to get your traits up and running. Like so. There you go. And you are also on your Blood Throne. Karanak, level 42 now. Granted, most of those levels were gained while fighting together with Skulltaker, but now you're in Kuhar's army, where you were always fated to be, let's say. Get your big old charge bonus, so your speed doesn't have to be super high, or at least not much higher than the regular doggos. And in fact, the regular doggos are slightly faster than you, most likely due to the red line buffs. Anyway, Kuharr. This is your moment, my friend. You've got a full stack of Wood Elves and Eltharion the Grim with some reinforcements. Plus, they've got some decent range units and flying units, which means it'll be a problem for you to actually do anything about them until they land. I like it. I'll make the exception, make this episode be a little bit longer just to get Kuharr his fight. He's been waiting for this. Go.
Sacrifice! Endless war! Let the world drown in blood!
Alrighty, here we go. Kuharr the Blood Hunter with his army nearly maxed out. Look at those glorious Gore Beast chariots. I've been really meaning to build more of them throughout this campaign, as I do really like the unit, and I can't wait to see these guys in action, together with the other fast movers of this army. It does make this army quite a bit different than several of our other armies. A lot of people enjoyed the different nature of said army in the Archaon campaign, and hopefully for the fights that we have here, and we can do the same here. Anyway, Karanak will move out ahead. He is the best boy, but also he has stock, and he has stock and Vanguard deployment, and is pretty darn quick. He can also stop the enemy lord in her tracks, and the Spellweaver takes about half of her HP in damage pretty much immediately. Our fast movers are barreling forward, Kuharr in the lead, of course. So I haven't decided whether we keep him on the Juggernaut or put him on a Chaos Steeds, and look at those Gore Beasts charging. There we go, right into the line of elves, and ooh, that loose formation probably not a good thing for the elves. If they had kept a more tight formation, they might have actually been able to stop us in our tracks. Well, the good thing about Gore Beast chariots is that similar to some chariots, not all chariots, is that these guys can actually fight fairly decently well in melee. rather than just being forced out immediately. Over on the left flank, the Wild Riders have been completely surrounded, overrun, and obliterated by our units of Fleshhounds, and our Gorby's chariot pile has barreled through the enemy lines and will be hunting down the enemy. Another reason that Kuharr uses the other than the main reason that he uses the halberd-wielding Chaos Warriors is that the Chaos Warriors of Khorne have halberds. The riders of the chariots also have halberds, so it's got this whole theme thing going for Kuharr's army. It's been well thought out in the Archaon campaign. Anyway, looks like Kuharr himself is somewhat surrounded by a pile of Treekin, and that's all right. Out here, our units of Chaos Warriors of Khorne with halberds, led by the Slaughter Guard, are moving forward to try to hunt down whatever units they can. I do believe the enemy did attempt to charge them with some Wild Riders, but ultimately failed. And now they're attempting to escape. I guess these woods aren't so friendly to the Wood Elves, unfortunately. Alright, and all they will do is run into the waiting jaws of Karanak and all of those Fleshhounds. Gorby's chariots still putting in the work. They're also fairly decent at chasing the enemy down, so the enemy's going to have a pretty tough time at having any unit actually escape and do anything. Considering the quality of the enemy army and the fact that they have reinforcements has been pretty interesting so far. Ooh, looks like Eltharion has arrived and decides to touch down and attack Karanak rather than Kuharr. Perhaps he thinks he can take Karanak, but, well, that's not going to work out so well for him. We're going to pop the Prey of the Blood God on him and Wounded Prey to debuff him and have Karanak attack him until Kuharr is ready to move towards him. Unfortunately for Eltharion, he'll actually lose about half his HP to Karanak before Kuharr manages to approach, but I'm sure Kuharr can deliver the final blows. There we go, Twin Axes swing. Kuharr hits pretty darn hard himself at 854, and Eltharion loses 90% of his HP, and at last drops with Kuharr delivering the final blow. Looks like the Wood Elves are pretty much done and are only reliant on the help of the reinforcements. A Great Eagle coming in with Eltharion have dropped down foolishly into the pile of Chaos Warriors with halberds. And by the looks of it, that Great Eagle at least is pretty much done for. Lots of enemy Wood Elf units are routing at this point, and we're giving chase to them everywhere we can with our Fleshhounds. And it's time to start moving towards the enemy line of High Elves. Alright, so they're moving in with their range units, and our Gorby's chariots are sort of circling around, trying not to get slowed down by the trees here. Kuharr will lead his way into the fray to attack the spears over on the left flank of the new arrivals. Get a few hits in, and the rest of his Slaughter Guard and Blood Angels and the rest of the Chaos Warriors are approaching. These guys are moving away from the pile of Chaos Warriors, the melee piles, only for the chariots to arrive at last. Of course, chariots not so great in trees as they both slow them down and debuff them, but that's a lot of range units and not enough spears to protect them. There we go, very, very nice. Once again, I do love seeing the Gorby's chariots in action, and they will press the attack while we summon some Bloodletters on the field, or not Bloodletters, some Fleshhounds on the field to block the enemy off, such that they cannot escape. Alright, and the Chaos Warriors have arrived. Great weapons, halberds swinging down on those spears, and the enemy spears, of course, don't have the armor piercing to deal with the 150 armor of the Chaos Warriors. Once again, the buffs that we're getting are obviously better on the units that normally don't have a lot of armor, like the Fleshhounds, but, well, making Chaos Warriors even tankier is fairly useful as well. 70 armor on the Karanak's pups, but also on the Fleshhounds in general. Pretty darn solid. It does kind of make a lot of units kind of insane in the late game, but, you know. And that's about normal and is a fact for most factions. Tomb Kings really need a tune-up in that regard, in the sense of their units becoming actually stronger in the late game. But anyway, with that, the battle is over. Zeltharion has fallen. The Wood Elf army was in march stance and was destroyed with gusto, and the High Elves will by and large be chased down by our fast-moving army. Lovely. Doomsinger. One of two powerful elven rune swords forged long ago with its sister's sword, Deathsinger. Sister swords, 5% chance to gain a unique trait when both Doomsinger and Deathsinger are present in the same region. Well. The legend here, Kuharr has found himself another nice weapon, giving him Deathblow, Frenzy, and Regeneration. I wonder if he has Deathblow already, but the regen is nice. It is a little bit unfortunate to lose the Obsidian Blade, though. I'll think about it. I do wonder what the other sword does. But anyway, 8 losses against these forces. Now, the phrase wrecking face or wrecked face gets thrown around a lot these days, but I think we can all agree that that was not close whatsoever. Well done, Kuharr, and well, I guess your legend continues. Once again, one of the favorites of the legendary sort of community canon lords from the Archaon campaign. Love his mobile army, and this is why I keep reiterating why speed is such a great stat. After melee defense and ward save, sometimes on par or even more valuable than those, depending on what you're facing and what unit you're getting them on. Speed is really, really good, and the AI is not great at dealing with it. So, yeah, plus those Gorby's chariots, racking up that kill count. All of them did fantastic, and I've really always liked the Gorby's chariots as units, as I like them as much as I dislike the regular Chaos chariots, which is quite a bit, as I find that the regular Chaos chariots don't serve too much of a purpose, especially if you have access to Seeker chariots of Slaanesh. But generally, most of the time, I get more value out of Marauders or even Doggos than I do of the regular Chaos chariots. But the Gorby's chariots, these guys do work, and clearly. Anyway, everybody did work. Karen and I got solid kills. The Doggos ran plenty of enemies down. The various Chaos warriors, including the named Blood Angels with halberds, did their jobs as well. And I like that they had lots of large units that they were facing off against. This is why we have halberdiers in Kuharr's army, because his army is used to dealing with beasts and sort of yoking them to the endless caravan of slaughter that he likes to do. Anyway, I gotta stop gushing about one of my favorites here. Devour captives, please. That army is destroyed, Eltharion is defeated, and I guess you get the defeat trait for him, although I think in non-SFO it's kind of a not great defeat trait, as I recall. Oh, actually, that's not bad. Never mind. I think in SFO it gives like 5% missile resistance to the entire army, making it a lot better, but that's still pretty solid. Worth acquiring, I think, and same with Doomsinger. Very nice. And he's just in range of Orion here. Well, I guess we'll have another fight ready already for Kuharr at the start of next episode, plus the fight with Skulltaker. Anyway, this episode has gone on very much longer than I was expecting it to, so I'm gonna call it here. Still having a lot of fun with this campaign. A little bit disappointed that the interest has dropped off, considering there's so much more fun stuff to do. But anyway, that's what the second channel is for. Stay tuned for more. Campaign will last as long as at least some interest remains, and thus don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. Ooh, the Sacred Pools fight. I've been waiting for this, and the Beastmen army with that Bloodbrute behemoth. No, we'll save it for next episode. I already did one. I gotta stop. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.